So this is a simulator that John Deere has brought out for us. So customers get this, dealers get it if you have a login. So this is kind of, I like the simulator. This is where I can shop and not spend any money. So we can pick whatever machine that you like. We're going to focus on a tractor and a planter, just kind of fitting with this time of year. Implement, you guys are welcome to enter in whatever you want. I'm going to use planter. So display wise over here, we get a 4640 universal display. So that is our V2 processor universal display. If you want to say kind of the replacement of the 2630. As well, within this display, you can pick a 2630 or even an 1800. So I've found this really well if I'm talking to any of you guys on the phone, navigating through. Quite common, you'll hear me talk about, hey, just one sec, I'll load my simulator. As well, when you pull this down, you can enter machine options if they're available. This one already has loaded options with it. Implement options, you guys are welcome to go shopping here. This doesn't cost you any money. So you're welcome to pick whichever planter that fits you guys. Rate controller, if you want to add that on, that allows you to have the rate controller loaded on your simulator as well. I'm not going to do that today. And then it kind of just tells you what the description of the machine is. Display options, this is software version, so you can actually change that. You're going to notice this is 21-1 software. GPS options, we can go through. This one's running on RTK. We can pick a 3000 if you need be. And guidance, we just have auto track here. Okay, so once I have everything loaded here, so we'll go start simulator. On the top, if you just click on and off, it opens up whether you want to steer left, steer right, your speed. We got simulation spacing as well. We bring up the command arm. So you actually move your SCVs up and down, any of your rocker switches that are on here, auto steer. Here we can put in what we're going to do. We want to begin planning, import data, export data. I'm not going to choose any of that, but just when you guys are playing around as well. Stop simulation, full screen, and log out is on the right hand side. So as the simulator gets loaded, one thing I will say, and while I was talking, maybe some of you have seen on the bottom here, it says wait for the simulator to load. That is true. If you get pushing buttons on it, it seems to jumble it up. So first off, we have our auto track guidance system detected. That always comes up on all our units. I just hit OK. Implement profile created. So what happens is you'll see at the top, this is kind of a giveaway, equipment detected. So this is an ISO hooked up piece of equipment, whatever it may be, rate controller, air seeder, planter. This one's a Seedstar 4 planter, 1775 NT. I'm going to set that up later. We'll go through it later in a little more detail. I can skip through, but I'll just set that up later. And then we have our work setup tab here. We're gonna go to that later as well. Okay, so here's one of the landing pages that we have on the 4640 universal display. This will look exactly the same as all of our Gen 4 displays, 4600s, which is our built-in models on the armrest. We can have 4200s and 4100s on the armrest as well. 4640 is our universal display, as well as a 4240. There is some limitations when we start talking difference in displays. Best to talk to your sales guy, myself, or Deanna, and we'll point you in the right direction. So just an overall view, we can have page forward here once you have your home pages loaded. So this one has a lot of home pages just because that's what they've loaded here for the simulator. As well as you can swipe, just similar to, an iPad or anything like that. So that is one thing to use instead of monkeying around up here. So we'll go into the guidance page again. So we'll start with this. This is kind of a default guidance page that most all of our Gen 4s use. So we have things along, I'm going to walk all the way around the screen so everybody knows what's going on. So the location is just simply that. Now I get this question a lot. It says multiple boundaries detected. So what happens is you guys have your maps all loaded in your screens with your boundaries, and I'm really happy and Deanna's really happy. If we're close to the field, it's going to tell us which ones are closest. So almost like our 2630s used to have with field detection, this is kind of the way it is, only I like this one a lot better because it gives us the chance to pick. So I did see some 2630 issues previously where if you were close to 2 fields, it made things very confusing. Gen 4s, my favorite screens just going forward, but you can actually pick which boundary that you are looking, or the field that you are looking for. Now, if these don't fit anything that a specific field that you're looking at, you can also hit view all, and that's where you're going to get your multiple farms or your fields, even though they're not close in this situation. Okay, so here's another thing that I don't find a lot of guys use, but I've actually started to use it more on our farm. So we have counters. So a lot of the time people want to see distance or acres, you know, anything going forward like that information wise. And instead of flipping pages, we're able to customize this, and you can change what you want to see on that. So a lot of the time I use area worked, seed fill-ups, stuff like that, time worked. Yeah, okay. How many acres per hour, your working speed, you know, all this stuff can be customizable. So let me show you one portion that I find useful. So I'm going to just pick area worked on my counter A. So I have A through E. So let's say I want to change this one below now to work monitor, same thing, but I want to use a different counter. So now all of a sudden I'm able to compare those two counters back and forth. Okay, I like it. Gives us a little more info and you know, something to go forward with. So one thing with a Gen 4, get this phone call all the time. So area worked, let's say it fills in and it shows 10 acres or 20 acres. How do I get rid of that? Usually everybody just picks the next one and the next one and all the way through. Reset all counters. So there is a trick to this. So if you select reset all counters, hit OK, it still won't zero it until you retouch it and hit reset counters. Okay, that's a little hiccup with that. Not really a hiccup, just need to know. I think it's there. I've determined it's for safety. So if you hit reset counters, it clears everything. And then you go, oh, shouldn't have did that. Here, you actually have to hit it twice. So our next track down here in the box, this is where you're going to view what your next track is. So as an example, if you have a north-south track and you also have an east-west track in the same field, you're going to see that track come up here. Now you're able to use the swap. So an example again, remember we don't have to go through all of our guidance pages to pick the correct guidance page. We can just go through, hit the swap button, and it'll automatically go over to our next track. So remember, if you have 3 or 4 or 5 tracks, you're going to have to keep hitting that swap button just to get it to roll through. Here we have map layers. So we're going to get different map layers as so this one, because it's a planner, so as it's painting, it's going to show us a rate map layer. I can just get coverage, which would just be a blue map layer. If you have fertilizer, you're going to get that as a map layer. So I commonly get this Somebody says that it's only painting blue and I want to see my rates throughout. Well, just as simple as toggling that over to rate. One other thing that you can do, we can change, what we're viewing. So you can kind of see the coloring of your rate. Just another little feature with it. Flags. So flags is another, I think, real key point with a Gen 4 as well. I find it extremely easy to add a flag within. So as an example, none of us have any stones or washouts in any fields, I know. I hope all of you smiled when I said that. So it's just as simple as touching the flag, and you can add a flag to this point. So let's say a rock. There. So do you want it in an area? Do you want it in a line or a point? So I'm going to just drop this and hit save. So if I was moving, you would see that it would actually draw a flag right here. You'd see it there. Okay. Keep going around here. Shift track. I don't have my shift tracks on right now, but this is where you shift. So our centering button, nudge left, nudge right. There's our increment. And then we have our track spacing. Click on that. You can have feet, or rows. I'll show you that this kind of loads from our equipment tab. So don't get too hung up on this, especially planter season. Let's say cultivators that aren't ISO, things like that you want to enter in. Sure, we're going to use this for sure. And our guidance, our set track. So we can have a new track set. We'll talk about that. But going through, you can see that we have no tracks, but you'll be able to see all your tracks listed right here. And we talked about the toggle button, as well as this. Everybody kind of looks at it and says, it's showing me a lot of business up there. I'm not quite sure what it all means, but if you touch it, click on it. So you know how I've been kind of a stickler on software updates lately and that it's mandatory. I've used this screen all the time just to have somebody tell me what their software version is of their beacon. So these are kind of like a status center. It's a quick link to Starfire 6000, 3000s. I've had people say, well, I kind of go to Isobus VT. We'll talk about that. And then I got to find it and all the rest. This is just simple. Click on the clock. You'll hear me say that. Click on this. Boom. It takes me right to the Starfire. It also takes me to other information things that we commonly have our techs, Deanna or myself, ask some information on it. Data sync, talk about that. Remote display access. For our customers that are connected, so MTGs with Connect subscription, 4G, 3G. I'm really pushing 4Gs now. I've seen a big enhancement in the performance of them, especially to do with remote display access. So remote display access allows dealership, such as ourselves, Deanna, service, or customer to log into the screen that you're viewing. So as an example, my wife, which she's on this chat, if I needed to help her out with something, I can log in from my phone, iPad, app. There's quite a few places that I can log in. I can view her screen, but I cannot control it. So I've used this a lot with diagnostics, with customers. You know, Jim, my planner's not painting. How do I set this up? You know, just overall questions, and feel free. I do this at the beginning of the year. You know, give me a call, give Deanna a call. We can log in. We can have a look at that ahead of time, not when you're in the field. Our connected guys, which we have a lot, MTGs we talk about. I'll ask a simple question. Hey, how's your signal strength in your MTG? A lot of guys are like, oh, or ladies are like, well, how do I find that? So it's right here. It'll give you your signal strength. And then usually I tell you, hey, drive out of the shed. Oh, yeah. So interesting part there. We also get date and time. If it needs to be changed, like I said, it's just quick and we'll go down, date and time, and you're able to change it there. So guidance page, default pages. So on this screen, because it's a 4640 universal, it does not bring up your SCVs or anything like that. Our built-in Gen 4s do. So the ones on the armrest will bring in your SCVs, and you guys have seen the landing page for those as well. That comes with the tractor portion of it. So setup, let's go there. So one thing that this is with the Gen 4 compared to a 2630 or any of our older models, I find the setup is easy on them. It's all in one click and we get everything that we need to set up to get rolling. Okay, the other way of doing it is location. Remember, we talked about that, so you kind of got to fumble through that. I like setup. So if I want to change my location, boom, it takes me right there. I'm able to pick whatever I need there. The equipment setup side. So remember, this is an ISO style planner. So remember when we powered it up, it recognized the planner. So the tractor, it's going to recognize the tractor in here. So we have a ProGator as well, but the tractor's auto loaded and the planner's auto loaded. At the top, I get this quite a bit. Within the Gen 4, the other portion that we get is we get the help files, as well as basically the owner's manual in it. But the benefit that I find is that it actually takes you to exactly what you're looking at. Okay, I'll show you another example of that, but anytime, click the top, help file, there's my equipment manager, comes right up. Okay? And don't feel embarrassed to use the help stuff. I use it all the time. So we'll X out of that. We'll go through the work summary. So this is kind of the documentation side, which we've been trying to hit home with everybody, and you guys are doing a fantastic job. This is what we want to document. What are we planting in this, for instance? What variety are we planting? Are we doing single, dual, or custom? And whether it's rate controller controlled or we have a prescription in here. Okay? This one we're just going to do controller rate. So that's the planner controlling the rate. We don't have a prescription in this example. Within the tractor, we'll go into the equipment tab, go into tractor. We're able to add a new profile. So if it's not auto loaded, which this one is, like I said, but if you're going to add something to it, you can create a new profile. Okay, we have all these to create in here. We're just going to stay with the tractor, and then we're able to modify the tractor. So some of the offsets and information within that. So this is one that I do see that guys miss a lot. You know, let's roll through. Let's change these. Let's have a look at them, and let's do our measurements. I do get within the tractor. We'll go into the equipment tab. Go into tractor. We're able to add a new profile. So if it's not auto loaded, which this one is, like I said, but if you're going to add something to it, you can create a new profile. Okay, we have all these to create in here. We're just going to stay with the tractor, and then we're able to modify the tractor. So some of the offsets and information within that. So this is one that I do see that guys miss a lot. You know, let's roll through. Let's change these. Let's have a look at them, and let's do our measurements. I do get the nice thing as well with the Gen 4 as well. It shows you what the measurement is and where it's from. So we also have that help icon up there again to tell you exactly where it needs to be measured from. Okay. So connection point, that's fairly straightforward as well. It has some numbers loaded in here, but please, if you need be, let's put the correct numbers in there. And we'll go save on that, hit OK. So now the planner side of it. So the planner, because it's auto loaded, serial number loads. Connection point, we have a 3-point on this one. This one's an interesting measurement that we do require now. So pivoting, non-pivoting. So non-pivoting would be a fixed unit, and a pivoting one is like our 1790s, or most of our planners that have that pivot point in between the actual planner and the 2-point hitch. So I do find that one doesn't get entered in a lot. Working with, so we're just doing a single row here. Number of rows, 16 rows, 30-inch. You can go ahead and change that if need be within a planner. Lateral offsets, any information to do with the planner measurement side. And then we have our work point. So clicking on that shows very vivid pictures of from my hitch to my work point. So with a planner, it's the center of the row unit. And then we have just some other information. We have gauge wheel downforce sensors, ride quality, and vacuum sensors. As a rule, ISO loaded. These are already loaded over from the planner app side. Implement receiver. So this is something that we've installed here quite a bit. We've seen a lot of customers now that want that precision dropping of and that row on the row where they want it on planners, especially my strip till guys. So my strip till guys, they put a strip down, then they want that planner to be right back onto that. So implement receiver. So we're able to add a receiver to the implement. It's not very expensive. You know, yes, there's a cost of the GPS beacon, but the components to do it. So with the implement receiver, we need to make sure that these measurements are filled out. No questions, because that's where we're getting our information from. As well, the GPS receiver. So we have one on the tractor, but now we have to assign the other GPS receiver that the piece of equipment recognizes. So I can't add it on the simulator, but you'll actually see a number come up here, which would be the serial number of the receiver. We just need to assign that to the implement itself. Okay. Hit OK there. And then we get down here. So we're able to see that I've added an implement receiver. So it comes up, I got this, and then you'll see an arrow. It's not quite showing up real well on here. It just says that, hey, I look for a receiver and I don't see one. That's because on the simulator, we don't have one. But installed, it'll actually recognize that the receiver is connected on the planner. Okay. So I'm going to save that. You have a rate controller. That'll be a different operation. So guys that are mapping fertilizer and all that. So that's going to be an added operation. I don't have that on here. So if we had a rate controller attached, you're going to see this, and you're going to see a rate controller attached to that. Over in our work summary, excuse me, work summary, we have planting and seeding. The crop, we can change that. The variety, we can assign dual. If you have half your planter, you're going to plant a certain variety for test plots, other side, or we can have custom. Enter in whatever you need as far as the planter goes there. Okay, and I talked about the RX, the prescription side of it as well. So this one is a planner. We can map that tillage operation as well. So it's just going to be the exact same thing. You're going to put in tillage and your depth and all the rest. let's get those maps done, and useful information for sure. So that was the setup portion of it. The bottom, we have auto, so that's our work, that's our trigger to paint. So because it's ISO planner, it comes up auto. If you see that you do have an ISO product and or a piece of equipment, I'm sorry, that does not come up auto but comes up SF1 or SF2, we need to address that for sure. So as an example, we get, let's say we have a cultivator that we want to map. It doesn't have a trigger switch or a whisker switch on it. We're still able to map it off of a remote. So we put the cultivator down on SCV1. We're able to get that map just the same as we would if we had an auto function. So auto track. So another portion that I love about the Gen 4 as well is it actually tells you why you can't use auto track. Now, just hit the auto track button and it'll tell you what you need. As well as if you hit this diagnostics box, you can actually walk through and actually see what's missing. So in this case, we know there's an exclamation mark. So I know that my stage 2, so here's what my current status is. I know my stage 2 isn't filled out or something's wrong. I don't know what it is. Click on this. It says a guidance track must be selected. Gen 4, why else I like it? You hit select track. It takes you right to where you need to go in order to fix the problem. Okay? Diagnostics, as well as it'll go down through stage 3, stage 4 as well. This is another interesting diagnostic-wise, last exit code. It'll tell you why the machine either quit auto steering or there was an issue. It'll tell you that. So if it lost GPS, operator not in the seat, something like that, you'll see that there. Once again, information at the top, all the way through. You guys are, I don't think I need to hammer that home anymore about the help guide, but like I said, I use it all the time. Okay, jump out of that. Next one over here is our guidance tab, which if you guys have a look, has kind of all our guidance goodies on it. We're able to zoom in, zoom out, our direction, map layers. We have where we are. Here's our master on off. As well, one portion that I want to show you is up top here. There's a guidance master. So you can turn with our newer software, I think that was last fall or before that came out, the audible tones. So you guys pulled out on the field, our guidance was still on. You would hear it go beep, beep, beep if you crossed over those lines. In that software, it got rid of that. But as well, we have a guidance master. So you can just simply go in at the top or advanced settings and just shut it off. Okay. One other thing that we have here, auto track implement guidance. You can see we can turn that on and off as well. So that's one key component for my guys using beacons on equipment. We have optimization in here as well. Turn predictors, tracking tones, tram lines. Like I said, we can go through a lot of stuff. Receiver shared signals. So this is my my shared signal, guys, with on the tractor and the piece of equipment. Turn it on or off. So those two beacons talk to each other. And was there anything else that I wanted to look at here? I think that's pretty self-explanatory through that. We still have our map layers, our toggles, and our flags. But if we go through and we can set a track from here. So just as simple, new track. Gen 4 has a lot more advancement as far as what tracking we can use. AB, A plus heading, auto B, lat long. You know, we have lots to pick from here. Circle track. One that I have had some farmers start to use, boundary fill. So boundary fill, if you have a good boundary, especially made off of RTK, drive around. And so if you have the boundary, you hit boundary fill, it fills the lines in based off your boundary and just kind of keeps those lines moving in. So what I do have a lot of guys use, they use boundary fill because it shows up in our swap there to do around the outside. Then they swap over to their AB and away they roll. And track spacing, talked about it a little bit. We got feet, we have rows. Like I said, this being a planner, simply click on it and change it. Quickline. Quickline is Gen 4, very, very, very handy. So Quickline is you pull into the field and let's see if we can do it here. So we're stopped, you hit set A, it automatically snaps that B for you as soon as you drive 49.21 feet or 50 feet. So if you're not planning, let's say a tillage guy rolls in, he just wants to lay down a quick line. Hey, I want to go in a little bit of an angle, set A, and it automatically snaps that for you. Swap track. Swap track is just simply this. Remember, I don't have any tracking here, so that's that swap portion of it. ISO VT is where we have anything that's on the ISO itself. So we talked about the beacons on ISO. If you have a rate controller that's on ISO, you'll see them all populated here. Now, these shortcut bars at the bottom are all customizable, and I'll show you how to do that. So, you know, does somebody want the help function at the bottom? Sure. Somebody wants section control? Don't know. So these are quick tabs, and I really like to put section control in down at the bottom, especially planner sprayers. Section control, so you can turn it on and off without having to go through the screen and find this section control section. So on, off. Very, very straightforward, very easy to use, but being these are customizable, and I'll show you how to customize those. I get into guys and they're all different. So, I mean, that's all customizable for yourself. So I'm going to start into the menu portion of it. So our new planners and our new air seeders, we use apps now. So we have a SeedStar app here. Maintenance and calibrations we have. So remember, this is a universal display. So if this was a built-in display in a tractor, 4600, 4200, 4100, you would see more things to do with the tractor here. This is universal, remember, so we don't get that. So you'd see SCVs, you'd see hitch, you'd see your HVAC, so your air conditioning, your heater. You'd see other applications that come across with that piece of equipment. And they are different. So sprayer would be different than a combine, that may be different from a tractor. Okay, applications are just that. They're apps that are loaded onto the Gen 4. So we can load more or less apps depending on the piece of equipment. So if you purchase a new planner, it needs a certain app. So we can install that app. Connect mobile, so that's using the iPad within the machine, needs an app to run. So we can do all that stuff. So but within these apps, you have your auto track. So a lot of this stuff is kind of overview from that home screen, but still very useful to have and know where it is. So if I click on auto track, you guys have seen that. I'm not going to go back through that. Calculator to calculate how much money we're making. That's what I call that calculator. Control setup. So when it's hooked to a tractor, a built-in armrest or a sprayer, this is where you assign like joystick controls and things like that. So here we have our air seeders. So this is for our new N500 electric drive planner. Remember, it's an app. And then equipment manager, we click on that. It's the same thing that you guys are all getting in the setup portion of it. Fields and boundaries. I'm going to spend a little bit of time in fields and boundaries here. Because I do get questions a lot about fields and boundaries. So client, farm, and field, so we can make sure that's loaded in there. So even if you want to view your boundary and see how it looks, you can just load another client, farm, and field within here. As well, it gives you the area. So I mean, if you want a quick pick on how much seed, how much product I need. Very, very easy to see. So right now we have this listed as an exterior boundary, which you can see is painted in pink. But we're able to add an interior boundary from here as well. So a waterway, anything that you may or may not want to cross, we can add it from here. And you'll see that it comes up as a rule in yellow. We could go through, I could sit here and drive the tractor just like a video game, but so you're going to drive that interior, as well as with our exterior here, we can put in that this is a driven boundary, a constant offset. So all the way around, this is where we want it to sit. We can edit this. This is a nice function that I want, that I really like seeing. So we're able to do it from a coverage map, which, so you go out, do your operation, we're able to get that coverage. It's going to make you a boundary. Coverage maps on RTK for boundary are probably my favorite. Created driven boundaries, so you can go around and drive the boundary. Like I know lots of these do. We have time off, grab a gator, put our screen in, and we drive it on RTK, of course. So as well, we can also have multiple boundaries within here. So if you go into view sets, you're going to see that there's more than one boundary. I came across with a new software as well, where we are still finding a little information just because it's so new on how it reacts with Ops Center, how it comes across. But that's an ability there. To be honest, myself, I haven't found where customers maybe wanted multiple boundaries within the same field, but I'm sure it's there. If they put it in there, I'm sure there's a reason for it. So the help tab's at the top as well if you need any information on the boundary portion of it. Flags. So remember, same setup that we had on our home screen there. We dropped the rock, whatever you guys want to put in there. Weeds, you can add a category. I've had guys put in washed out tile drains, anything like that you can think about. The help tab, so this is the entire manual for the display built all in here. ISO VT, we had to talk about that. That was on anything that's loaded ISO. Let's go here. So layout manager, we're going to spend a little time in layout manager because this is, like I said, this is where you customize your run pages. So first off, we can create a run page and load it in our all run pages section. So with a Gen 4, over a 2630 or previous, when you made a run page and you didn't want to use it, you just got rid of it and it was gone. Now with all run pages, we can customize and make a run page within here, which doesn't have to be up here in our run page sets. So we can go through and make an air seeder homepage that's maybe customizable for me. Or I can also have an air seeder that could be customizable for somebody else in my operation as well. And it just sits here. It's not being used, it just sits here. The shortcut bars, remember I said you were able to edit them. So if you go here to the pencil, and you're going to see that this is exactly how our home page is set up now. So as an example, I want to get rid of this help. So I click on it, I remove shortcut. Okay, so now I want to add something to it. I hit the plus, and now it allows me to pick throughout my Gen 4 maybe what I want. I don't know whether there's one for the calculator. So now I can add that to my home screen shortcut bar. I can move it, and we can save it. We can also have different shortcut bars as well. This one's just the default one. So I'm going to save this, and I'll go back and I'll just show you. And now you can see my calculator's there, my help's not there. Okay, so back in applications, and layout manager was where we were at. Okay, so now my run page sets. So remember how I said when we loaded, the simulator has 7, well, this one has a considerable amount of run pages with it. So we can edit those. So let's say that I'm not using my air seeder. It's put away, somebody's loaded it. Just as simple as click on it. I can edit it, I can duplicate it, I can move it up or down in my my home screen, my flip, if you want to say, or I can delete it. So this is the one, I know you guys, none of you is like deleting anything. Well, the good part is this doesn't delete it. It just takes it away from your active set. Okay, so I'm going to save it. So now you're going to see that it changed to 6, and you're going to find that it moved it down to my all run pages. So Gen 4 was based off very customizable way of making run pages. So that was layout manager, home pages. And remember, different equipment has different home pages. So maybe there's something on a tractor home page that you'd love to see on your sprayer one, but there's predetermined on what the sprayer may have compared to the tractor. So mapping is just that. It's a map view. It's the same as what we looked at our default home page. 4640 displays. We got this added to it. So we were able to have the original Green Star monitor on it. I'm not going to click on it because it asked for the display to reboot again. Remote access. So we talked about that. MTG, signal strength, our session, our duration. So that's when we log in, or somebody in your operation that has permission to, you can log in and help an operator out. Section control, this is one, Gen 4, another one of my big favorites here. So master on off. Master's on off there. We have headland control. So if I turn this on, with headland control, what that does is allows us to plant the headland last, okay, or around the field. So you can put an offset in. So an example, if you had a 40-foot planter and you wanted to run 2 headlands, 2 paths to headlands, so your offset here, we would set that at 80 feet. Very nice feature with Gen 4 for sure. But as well, we get this performance tuning. And like I said, Gen 4, so it tells you you have a skip or an overlap. It tells you what it is. That's all it is. We hit next. So we entered our planner area. So you can remember with our 2630s, 2600s, we had these turn on, turn off times. That was quite confusing for a lot of people. So we can enter that we skipped, and you actually just type in the distance. So it was 1 foot. So what it does is it changes how the planner so-called turn on, turn off time works. That does need to be measured in the field. For a planner, I'm not going to give away all my secrets, but I do tie up a closing wheel. I use a ratchet strap, tie the closing wheel up, and then I can see without digging. I've dug a lot of land until I figured that out. So that works very well. It asks you for both. Did you have an overlap? Sure. And if you go through, it'll hit next, and it'll actually change all those settings for you. Very, very, very handy and very easy to get it tuned quick. Okay. This tab here, don't get hung up on it a lot, because I've found that some 3000s don't come up on this portion as well. So don't get too hung up on that. We also had, with a new software update, I read about it this morning. Dan asked me about it, I think a couple weeks ago, this advanced Tcm calibration. So this is new with new software. I read that they were trying to get a better balance point with the calibration as well. I'm not going to do it here, but that's something to know. And video, the video portion is your cameras. So Gen 4 here, we get 4 cameras. So unloading auger on a combine, in the bin, out behind, you know, any place that you can put it, we're good to go with this. And work totals, I do like this one. It gives you an overview on, you know, what you did, your time, your rate, your variety, just kind of an overview of all what you've done. Last portion on this side we're going to talk about is just system. So system is just that. It's just a system menu. It's just for setting up things on the display. So display and sound, we can have that auto brightness, the color, day and night, touch calibration. I don't recommend doing this unless you have a problem. Multiple displays. So with our Gen 4s, we're able to have that Gen 4 extend monitor. So that gives you the ability to have, you know, guidance on your armrest or your 4640 in front, and you can have your planner on your extend monitor that's beside. It's very cost efficient. It's just basically a dummy screen that you pass your information back and forth through. The other one here, date and time, we talked about it before. Language and units, I think that's straightforward, but this one does give you the difference between acres and hectares. I've seen guys call and say, hey, my planner and screen's in hectares. How do I convert it? You'll find it in there. Software manager. So with these softwares, these mandatory software updates that have been coming, that are here, we're able to do Gen 4, we can do them online, we can do them wireless. If you're connected, we can do them that way, as well as you can do them from a USB stick. Activations, this is one that I get all the time, Jim, hey, where do I find what activations I have? So remember our built-in armrests, they are an activation and they stay with the tractor all the way through. So you put premium in it, it's gonna stay premium forever. We can't pull that back out. 4640 displays have the benefit of a subscription. So 1 year you may want section control, which is a premium activation. And then the next year you want to try it and you want automation. So you want the machine control, the implement beacon. So we're able to add that year by year. And it definitely, cash flow wise, is a superior way of doing it. Remember, with our old screens, you had to purchase what you wanted to use up front. So at 2630, if you wanted section control, that was one purchase up front. Benefit, now we can take that over a long period. So, so the blue, you'll see the blue status lights here. This is demo time. So let's say auto path here, you can see demo time is on. All screens come with 15 to 15 hours. So 15 hours of demo time. So let's say you guys want to try turn automation. You have that demo time to use and see if you like it. Okay. We can also send activations over the air with Gen 4s as well. And it'll go out, check online, hit check now. So you call me up or Deanna up and you say, hey, I want to add section control to it. We can send it over the air without having to punch in the long numbering system that they use to enter that code in. Version information, here's all your software versions that you have. So if you're not sure if you need the software version or not, it's all listed there. And we have some system information if need be. So if we go in under to show how to clean up files within, so if you click on File Manager, and you're able to have that connection between the Ops Center. So do we have that Ops Center connection? Diagnostics, it'll tell us what we're missing. It's not ready. and it tells us why, because we don't have a wireless connection. Okay. We can import them. Slowing down a little bit here. We can import them, so just the same as we used to with the USB. Export them, USB if needed, as well as we're able to delete them. So we're able to have ways to delete them with a Gen 4, so you can custom delete these. So back on the landing page, and John Deere has done a fantastic job of giving us the information on what is actually included within the software updates, as well as they've offered now videos to show how that function works. We use that a lot. So back at my dashboard, Stellar Support, so this is the same place that we went to the simulator. Stellar Support, software updates, right? This is where we go fetch some of our information on that. Lists it all here. So we're talking about Gen 4 display with V2 processor. And then you get this portion of it. Pardon? No, that's right, the 21-1. Yeah. Yeah, next week we're hoping to see that new 21-1. We don't know for sure. So you click in release notes. Does it apply to me? So here they've done a fantastic job of telling you, if you click on YouTube, which I'm not gonna, but the John Deere YouTube channel, it actually tells you how to do an over-the-air reprogramming video step by step. So I'm gonna keep going down through. So more information. I'm telling you, I'm wanting to get to a place here, but it's not. There it goes. So this is the auto path feature. We're still kind of learning at that. It's a new release, but there's a demonstration on auto path how it actually works out there on YouTube. I find a video for me is I can kind of put that to some use, but you're going to find your entire list here of the software updates will have, as a rule, if it's a new feature, have a YouTube channel from John Deere.